So I am against privatization. However, I am for modernization. I think there's a lot that can be done to modernize and liberalize alcohol sales within the county, that within the context of the current system. I know that there's a lot of restaurants in the White Flint area, and I think one of the things that we need to think about is when a specific, say, wine or beer is not available through the monopoly, that there ought to be other channels to get it. I mean, frankly, you know, my next door neighbor is one of the premier microbrewers in the country, and was until he went out of business. And he would complain to me frequently that it's easier to distribute his beer in Atlanta than it was to distribute it in Montgomery County.
I don't think the county should be in the liquor business. Selling liquor is not an essential government function under the tax code, I can tell you that for sure, but it does bring in $30 million a year, give or take, depending on who you're talking to, and I would not jump off a cliff to do this to privatize right away, because I think we need to find a way. $30 million isn't that much out of a budget of $5.6 billion, which is our county budget and the council's biggest responsibility, but it is something, and I would not throw it away so quickly.
Privatizing our liquor system would be a huge loss for the county. As she said, we'd lose about $30 million in revenue, which, you know, a recent question we just had was fiscal insolvency and debt. I mean, that's where you're going to get the $30 million if you're going to privatize it. And again, you're going to be losing all those jobs. These are great paying union jobs. And the thing to remember here is, in addition to all of that, the money that is spent in that liquor system all stays within our community. The profits and everything, the money that is spent by the county, it all stays here. If you privatize that, it'll be taken over by some corporation, David Trone, and all of that money will leave our community. It will not stay here.
There's nothing wrong in my mind that we have a county agency doing this business. I'm an engineer, and I think if we need to do something and improve the processes, we are doing that, or we should do even more. We need to understand what are the complaints. How can we fix them? And I think that there have been significant steps taken to improve that. I don't think that we would benefit by simply giving the profits, lots of profits, to be in the pockets of, as my colleague said, into major corporations or other people, and we would derive zero benefit from that.
I actually support privatizing the DLC. However, there's always a however from a politician. However, I'd like to see a system that's used the way Virginia does it, where they have the beer and wine and the local retail. They still keep the harder liquor with the state instead of the county, in that case in Virginia. What that would do for the county is it would phase in privatizing the DLC. It would still keep many of the jobs that are so important to all of us that are up here and important to the local economy. And it would also help with some of the revenue that we're going to be losing. But I think the benefit from privatizing is enormous.
This conversation about how much money the DLC generates is really about how much money it's generating from us. It's not serving us well. It's not a core government function. The government does a lot of things well, but selling and distributing alcohol is certainly not one of them. A state report from the Bureau of Revenue Estimates found that $193.7 million a year would be generated if we no longer had county control over alcohol. 40% of the county's adult age workforce works outside the county, and the consumption rates, the purchasing of alcohol, is 41% lower in Montgomery County than the rest of the state. Unless you think that there is a massive temperance movement sweeping through Montgomery County, the fact remains is we are already losing the revenue in Montgomery County to Northern Virginia, to DC, to Howard County, to Frederick County. We can't afford not to get the county out of the alcohol business.
I agree with a lot of what Andrew just said. I agree that we should privatize, but we should also work, as Reggie said, to preserve the union jobs and let them stay under their contract until that contract expired. But I want to go to a broader point. I think the liquor is just a symptom. It's a symptom that we need to relax. Government can't do everything. We need to let the private sector operate where it operates the best. for incubators. The county's involved with incubators. That should also be a private sector thing, where we have our business people in the county. I once said, if I were chair, I applied to be chair of the planning board, and I once said, if I were chair, I'd invite every billionaire in Montgomery County to have lunch with me, and I'd say to them, what are you going to do for Montgomery County?